Hi, Ricardo Fayet. It's lovely to see you.
It's good to see you too.
I saw you briefly on my first night in Vegas, the Giordano's. And
That's the one, the meeting place.
yeah, there was quite a lot going on. How have you been since then?
Pretty good, pretty good. I did a little trip after after that in the US, and then just went back to Spain, and now I'm in Italy for a few weeks working from a chalet. So I definitely can't complain.
Oh, lovely. Bit of traveling. It's nice to be able to do that again, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know for how long, so take advantage of it
So tell us a bit about Reedsy for the readers and watchers who don't know about it.
for sure. So Reedsy started in 2014, so yeah, 8 years ago now. And I think the core of the idea hasn't really changed since. What we wanted to create is a safe place where authors could find some of the world's best editors, cover designers, illustrators, book marketers, website designers, ghostwriters, translators, pretty much anyone, any author would need to hire at any point throughout their writing career. And we started with editing and design back then, but now we have all the services that I mentioned. And I think what makes Reedsy special is that we accept less than 5% of the freelancers who apply to be on our marketplace. So it's very curated. We pay a lot of attention. We put a lot of manual work into vetting the people who are in our marketplace to make sure that any professional whom you can hire on Reedsy is going to be a proper consummate professional and an expert in their field.
So how do you measure that?
We have our secret technique.
Ooh.
It's it's a lot of manual work. Uh, we basically have every freelancer who wants to be on Reeds, and it's a little bit similar to a LinkedIn profile, right? We ask them to list their work experience, a bit of an overview, the genres they work in, the services they want to offer. And then the most important part is the portfolio or the gallery for designers, which lets us know exactly what type of books that they've worked on in the past. So that's generally the sections we the most, and we have the strictest criteria on. And if the freelancer meets our criteria, which is like five plus years of experience, it's going to vary from one service to another. But for editing, for example, we generally require that editors have traditional publishing experience so that they've worked at either one of the big five or a well-known independent publisher. And then we do a bit of background checking. For example, if they say in their work experience that they've worked for 5 years Penguin Random House, then we make sure that all the books in their portfolio aren't published by Simon and Schuster or Macmillan, so that the information kind of matches up. For literary translators, we double check that they're listed as literary translators on all the books that they mentioned in their portfolio. So we do a lot of that kind of manual background checks to ensure that the professionals on Reedsy are who they say they are and have done what they say they've done. And yeah, if they meet our criteria and they pass our background check, then we add them to the marketplace.
Is it difficult to check like ghostwriters, for example?
It is.
They all have the NDAs and stuff. That must be tricky.
It's tricky. So we often have the problem with ghostwriters that they aren't able to list all the books that they've worked on. What we found though is that for the kind of ghostwriters we want to have on Reedsy, so people who've worked on dozens of books, if not more, sometimes hundreds, they are generally able to list at least, 10, 20 books in their profile, because maybe out of the 50 that they worked on, 10 didn't have that NDA clause that prevents them from mentioning the book. And if that isn't the case, then we ask them to at least be able to tell us privately which kind of books they've worked on and give us proof. And so we do have that background check behind the scenes before adding them on Reedsy. But generally, most of the ghostwriters you'll see on Reedsy, unless they're in a very specific niche, they'll at least be able to showcase 5, 10 books that they've worked on as a ghostwriter in a public manner.
Yeah. All right. That's really interesting. This interview will be going into outline themed magazine issue. So do any of your ghostwriters ghostwrite outlines?
Yeah, for sure. So most of our ghostwriters specialize in nonfiction, but we've got quite a few fiction ones as well. And those, I mean, when they write a fiction book, just like any writer, they're going to start with an outline or a plot. It can be more or less detailed, but they're definitely able to do that. Generally, our fiction ghostwriters are going to specialize in certain genres rather than just any author, really. So yes, you can hire a ghostwriter to come up with an outline based on a story ID or genre or comps. You can definitely have them do that. Yeah.
You're not just a curator of high quality services to the author industry, are you? Also an author of how to market a book.
Yes.
Uh, Tell me about the process you went through writing that.
Yeah, it was a bit of an uncommon process because I was trying to write a book for a while, but I could never really find the time and or motivation. So instead, what I did is I launched a weekly marketing newsletter. That was around three years ago or something like that, which I try to send every Thursday, and that forced me to write basically between 500 and 1,000 words every week, which is not much. But over the weeks and over the years, it piled up into a massive, maybe 80,000 word document. And when I thought I'd covered pretty much all the topics, all the big topics that I could think about marketing wise, I thought I should really put them together into a book because I had all this material. I constantly had people from the newsletter ask me about past issues. Can you send me the one like you did on Amazon ads last year? Can you send me the one on the series on mailing list from 2 years ago, etc. So I thought if I have, it's much easier for me to put all this into a book and send them the link to a book. It's going to be free rather than dig up in my archives and get them the links to all these past newsletters. So that's what I did. I started from, instead of starting from an outline, I started from a bunch of different news and I had to drag and drop them into an outline. So I used our Reedsy book editor tool for that, which was pretty handy because I could put them in a bunch of chapters, basically. I copy pasted all the newsletters into chapters. And then in the sidebar, you can drag and drop chapters around to order them. And that's what I did. I created different parts to group the chapters together. So all the chapters that I had, like on Amazon visibility, for example, and algorithms, I put them into a part called Amazon algorithm, I think. The ones on email marketing, I put them into a part on email marketing, etc. So I created the outline based on the material that I had. And then I filled in the blanks because obviously I didn't have all the material. Some of it was outdated, etc. I had to write transitions, but I found it much easier to complete the book once the job was like ordering the ideas around and filling in the blanks than when I had to start from page one.
So that was using an outlining tool that's freely available to anyone else to use it on your website?
Yes, absolutely. And it's a Reedsy book editor. So it's a writing and formatting tool, but I used it for outlining as well because you can drag and drop the chapters in the sidebar, which I think you can do in other writing programs as well. Since that one was free and I happen to be a founder of the company, I thought I was going to use that one.
Have you got the bug, the writing bug? Do you want to write again or?
Yeah, I do. I intentionally created a series page on Amazon with this book, and I called it the first one in the Reedsy marketing guide. So I committed to writing the next one, and I should have something on Amazon ads by the summer, hopefully. Also because, I mean, for us, it was a question of having a presence on Amazon as a brand as well, having a Reedsy book on there. What I found is that since the ebook is free, it's only in the free list, so it doesn't have as much exposure maybe as a paid book that would sell quite well. So I want to put a paid book out there, not so that we make money on it, but so that it's in the paid list and it can have visibility on there as well. And authors can hopefully find us through searching on Amazon for marketing advice.
You've got a big presence at conferences. You go there, you speak and you socialize a lot with the authors. Does it feel a bit different having written a book yourself now and having a book out there that's being able to say, these are my people?
I've always felt part of the industry. And I think that's something fantastic about the indie author community is that it's very inclusive. It's very easy to get into. And so I've always felt part of it. But it's true that one of the reasons I wrote the book is I was tired of like the question, so what are you writing? Which is the number one question you ask someone you don't know at a writing conference. And so I had to say, no, I don't write. I'm actually one of the founder of Reach, etc. So I thought I'm going to write a book and I'm finally going to have a better answer to that question. And you know what? Since I've released the book, I think no one has asked me, are you writing? I hope I meet someone at the next conference who asks this question.
Fantastic. You've got a clubhouse room with Dan Wood. What kind of things
Yeah.
are you missing there?
Yeah, that one has been on pause since after Vegas, I think. So we have to resume our programming and see what we do with the room. We use it as a way to both Draft the Digital and Reedsy. We try to provide as much educational content as possible. And so that was basically a new channel for us to do that. And it was nice to be able to do it in a partnership with Dan, who I've known for many years now. And yeah, we invited other people to talk on specific subjects. So we had Janet Margot on Amazon ads, for example, and we had programs to bring a lot more people. So we're going to resume that and yeah, hopefully bring on even more educational content to Clubhouse, though there are already a bunch of groups out in there that do that on a regular basis. So one of my goals is also to try and tune into those sessions a little bit more regularly.
Yeah, there were some good ones. I try to get in there like regularly. Life doesn't always allow it, does it?
No, it's around lunchtime for me, and I always forget.
So what else have you been doing with Dan Wood lately?
So I finally saw him again in Vegas. So that was definitely a highlight. We haven't seen each other since lockdown started. Since, self-publishing show live back in 2020. Oh, yeah, 2020. And we didn't do much after this conference, but next year we have plans to go to 20 Books and then Indie Conference in Matera, called the Indie Conference Europe. So if anyone's interested in joining that, it's going to be a pretty fun get together in a beautiful city, Matera, Italy.
Right, well,
And then,
Madrid is this year, so don't miss it.
sorry, did I say? Yeah, I'm still stuck back in stuck in 2021.
So easy to do, isn't it?
Yeah. So all that is this year, actually. Madrid, then Indie Conference Europe in Matera, and then the self-publishing show live in London, probably all in June. So that should be pretty exciting.
You represent the wide community very well. How important to you is it that the wide community is represented and supported?
As in wide publishing?
Mm.
Yeah, we try to. Obviously, we don't have any skin in the game because we don't touch the distribution part at all. We touch the marketing one, but you can market a wide book just as you can market a EU one. So I try to provide as much, again, educational content as possible for both options. I feel that maybe in my book, obviously I talk more about Amazon than any other retailer, but I tried to have one chapter about Amazon and one long chapter about Wide as well, because I think both approaches should deserve the same importance, credit, and education around it. So I don't favor one approach over the other. I think it's a very personal choice to make. It's a choice that depends on a big number of factors, or genre, personal preference, marketing tactics. But it's true that I think sometimes we over focus on Amazon because it's the biggest retailer. And as a result, we were focused on Kindle Limited and all that, and don't talk enough about the wide retailers. And yeah, there's great Facebook group for Wide for the Win that has provided a lot of fantastic initiatives on that end to promote wide marketing. And I'm learning a ton in that group because I know a lot about Amazon, but I don't know a lot about every single other retailer. So I enjoy learning actually about wide publishing tactics, what you can do on Apple, what you can do on Kobo, what you can do on a subscription services like Script, etc. So that's all fascinating to me. And I find it's really great that we're paying more attention to all these smaller retailers.
That's great. Have you got anything in the pipeline, you or Reedsy, that we'd like to know about? I'm nervous.
No, that's fine. We're working on redesigning our marketplace to provide an even better experience for people visiting it to hire editors or ghostwriters or cover designers in the future. Also to make it simpler for authors who are just starting to understand whom they should hire. Because it's true that sometimes it can be overwhelming if you know nothing about the publishing industry. If you don't read the indie author guide on a monthly basis, then you might not know the differences between developmental editing, copy editing, proofreading, or the differences between cover design, typesetting, typography, etc. So we're going to try to make it even easier for newbie authors to know what they should be looking for and whom they should hire. And aside from that, we're building in more capacities into our writing, formatting, outlining tool. So we're going to be adding more outlining features, and we're going to make it collaborative this year as well, so that you can write in real time with other authors in there. so that you can share with editors directly on Reedsy, work with editors using our try changes and commenting, which I think are much nicer design than words. And finally, format in one click for free to. The dog didn't like that part. The dog got angry. And he scared me.
I've got one like that.
And format and exports in one click to.
So where can you be found out and about over the next year? You already mentioned 20 Books, Madrid and Vegas. What about London Book Fair? Are you going there? Or any other?
I'm not even sure if I'm when London Book Fair is. I'll be going to the self-publishing show live in London if and when it happens. I think it should be late June. I'll be at the Indian Conference Europe in Matera, Italy, in the beginning of June as well, right after 20 Books Madrid. And I'll be at Inc. Novelist Inc. most likely, barring travel restrictions, barring another apocalypse, etc. But that is my plan right now.
Yeah, it's so easy to say, oh yes, I'll be doing this. But in the back of your head, it's, will I be doing this?
Exactly. That's what it's been like for the last year. I'm remaining positive and saying that's my plan for this year. And these are the conferences I'll do.
Lovely. So where can you be found on?
It can be found on Reedsy, Reedsy.com, and on Twitter. You can search for me, Ricardo Fayet. I mean, I have Facebook, Instagram, but honestly, the place I check the most is my email inbox. So if anyone has any questions, wants to say anything, just drop me a line, ricardo@reedsy.com. Very easy email to remember. And as I said, that's where I spend most of my time and where I answer the quickest. So even if you just want to say hi, drop me an email there and I'll get back to you.
That's great. Thank you very much for taking the time to speak with me, Ricardo.
No, thanks so much for interviewing me.